Because I've heard you say that it being, presence, even the witness, they're phenomenal. And so I see that the question's coming from the mind, and because it seems like it's as...
Okay, I am catching your point, and we can clarify some things to be clarified, and also I'm sure for other people it will become more clear when we speak now about it, because you mentioned a few points. One is, you say, when I investigate into the nature of the self, when I ask, who am I? Who is I? What is I? And where is I? Like this. Then obviously no verbal, mental, or conceptual answer is going to satisfy the urge to discover. If it's merely a conceptual response, which necessarily would come from the mind, it will be discerned, but this has no vitamins in it, has no power. It's just words to say, I am the self. It's not a kind of test to see who gives the correct answer. It is a more genuine urge for discovery. So if an answer comes, which would come from the mind, who is I, what is I? Oh, you are the self. What it mean? Nothing at all. It has to be that it leads to an insight or direct experience, isn't it? It has to reveal something which is deeper, more profound than merely intellectual knowledge. You say, in asking this question, somehow what remains is a space and silence or something like this. No. But you are baffled by the other question that say, can the witness be witnessed? Can the witness... Let's start again. What is witness, you see? I gave several examples over the last 2 days what I am pointing to when I refer to this phenomenon of the witness of the manifest functioning of body and mind and things and feelings also. That which is witnessed on this side of the eyes, everything that is witnessable. The elemental world and all the beings and all the movements, that is witnessable. And on the inside of the eyes, behind, in the field of emotions, of thought, sensation, imagination, memory, intellect, the functioning of them, that also becomes phenomenal to a deeper seeing that says, yes, I can observe all of these. Also observes the functioning of the senses, the object of the senses, all of these are observed. Then who is this observer of them? Can the observer itself, I say, be observed? It is observing everything, including the most subtle things, is perceived in the eye of the observer. Would we agree on this or not? Has anybody done? So for you who have looked, you've looked and you say, yes, actually, of course it is. Whether it is seen as a physical manifestation or just perceived in a subtler way as another kind of phenomenon perceived in consciousness, it is effectively a phenomenon. It effectively is like an object in consciousness. It is seen. This much we say, this much I've understood. That which is perceiving all of this, the question comes, can that also be perceived? Why this question is asked? Because unless this question is asked and pursued, it is possible that the ego, which is another form, takes the position of the witness and says, yes, everything I see is phenomenal. It is like the ego slips behind the eyes of the seer and says, look, everything is phenomenal. And still we retain a sense that there is an entity called me who is the witness of all else. You see? So the question, can the perceiver be perceived? Meaning, does it have any quality? Can it be discerned? Does it have a size or shape? Is there actually an entity behind the perceiving? Is there one? And if there is one, the question, can it be perceived, will reveal if it is true or not. Again, this is not something that you are merely going to have a mental relationship with it. You have to discover, actually, by looking and observing and feeling also. Is there something there as the perceiver? Like an entity, is it tangible? Can it be perceived? And it is just the turning back of the attention to investigate the observer itself, you see, because it is easily left out. When someone asking Sri Ramana Maharshi about surrendering, I surrender everything, I give all my money, I turn all my attention, I give all my time. Then he says, also surrender the surrenderer, didn't it? And that was, ouch, ooh, I wasn't thinking about surrender. Because always we are assuming the position that I'm the giver of things, but the giver also should be given. You see? In the same way, I am perceiving all these things. All this I can see is not me. But who are you, the perceiver? So in this question, something is experienced for the first time clearly. Is there an entity behind perceiving? What will this do? If you discover there is no perceiver as an entity, you've washed yourself. You've vanished from this object concept you have of yourself. And what remains then? It's just the field of being, the spirit of existence, you can say like this. You see, it removes any kind of entityness posing as the ultimate seer. Now I am explaining this to you. What you ought to be discovering through your own inquiry, you see? That is the purpose of, can the perceiver be perceived? Can the seer be seen? It doesn't lead to a conceptual discovery. It leads to deep insight, a kind of revelation that occurs within you that removes your duality and leaves you as that which cannot be defined. This is the purpose, you see.
I'm so glad I asked the question.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Just the very turning of the attention away from its position as the reporter of sensations and events. Who is this reporter? Who is doing it? It's not questioned, you see. As a child, I used to enjoy watching horror movies, because we used to gather around, and a lot of children in this house, sometimes we're watching movies. And why are we attracted to things that scare you, you see? Watching. And then you'll be watching one time, maybe I could give a scene like, we're zooming into this empty house. And of course, the music, oh, like a heartbeat. Shtoop, shtoop. You're expecting something, so, you're looking out of one eye, like this. Like this. You're watching for the ride. No, we want to enjoy. And then like this was going on. And one day it occurred to me, because it is like you don't want to be in this house. Nobody's in this house except something that you don't want to meet. Okay? So that's the setup. And we're moving in like this. And then it occurred to me, the cameraman is there. I don't know where this came from, actually. And suddenly everything changed. Everything changed. I was not alone. I'm in the position of the cameraman. The cameraman is there. And then somehow I couldn't make believe this thing in quite the intensity of the fear and the anxiety it was causing. I said, no. And then after the camera, and I could see director and all type of people in the space. And it was a setup. Was I going to buy it? And somehow, still, one could enjoy these scenes, but also a greater understanding that it is not what it's being pumped up to be. You can follow that drift and really get frightened out of your pants or something, but you can also just remember this. And ever since then, it became like that. That whatever you're watching, the camera is not looking at anything. What is behind this camera? And it was such a powerful thing. In the same way, the question, yes, who is the seer? Is the eyes the seer? Are the eyes the seer of everything? And you say, no, the mind is the seer. That's very good. What sees the mind? What sees the mind or the seeing mind? Awareness of seeing mind is there. What is behind that seeing of mind? Then he says, don't imagine. Just allow this question to somehow open up inside you. And be the finding. Don't retain this distance, oh yes, I'm watching something, and then it becomes a sort of mental answer only, not satisfying. If you are fully up for the discovery, then it will include you somehow.
Thank you.
Very good.